guys, what's up? Welcome back to my channel and to another episode of Making It. Before we get started with today's episode, I just want to give a special thank you and shout out to the sponsor of the series, Athlete Focused. Athlete Focused is a sports performance company based in the UK, and they work with athletes worldwide. They provide strength and conditioning, psychology, and nutritional support to young aspiring athletes, as well as professional athletes such as Olympians. You can access their support remotely and get elite level support through your phone or your laptop. It's an easy process, and you'll have an individual coach which you can build a working relationship with to make sure you maximize your potential. They pride themselves on being 100% focused on you, so you would get a full introductory meeting with exercise profiling to make sure every exercise is perfect for you. They work with so many different types of athletes, from ballet dancers, rugby players, to footballers. I personally have worked with them through my time here in Scotland, and I can say from firsthand experience, they are very knowledgeable. I feel like I have really benefited as an athlete. So if you guys are interested in working with them, I will provide a discount code using Peyton AF, and that will give you 20% off. I will link their Instagram and their website in the description box below. So if you guys are interested, please check them out. Athlete Focused, again, thank you so much for sponsoring this series. I'm really looking forward to continue working with you guys. So with all that being said, let's get into episode 2 of Making It. Welcome to episode 2 of Making It. In this episode, I'm going to be talking about injury and all the effects it can have on you mentally, physically, and emotionally. This is a timely episode because I am currently going through a longer term injury, which I will get into later on. But yeah, let's get into it. Injuries are one of those things that are very inconvenient, I would say. I would say there's never a good time for an injury. It is one of those things that is completely out of your hands, completely out of your control. It is a hard pill to swallow, and it's hard to accept, especially if you're someone like me who has had annoying injuries come up. It can make you feel very isolated and lonely because you aren't with your team, like actively participating in games and trainings. And like right now, while everyone's training, I'm doing my rehab and I'm doing my workouts. During the games, like I'm sitting in the stands. So it is this weird thing of feeling like disconnected with your team, and it's this weird thing of feeling just disconnected with yourself sometimes, because something that you love so much, it's something that you're really good at, is just taken from you. And so it's this weird separation. I feel like it just plays a lot of mind games on you, because it can feel like, you know, your progression is stalling or you're not on the path of development. And it's really frustrating when, you know, you're on a roll and you feel like you're in your groove and you're playing, and then injury happens. Like I said, it never feels like it's the right time for it to happen in the moment, honestly. Later on, sometimes you can reflect and be like, this was a good thing it happened, but it is frustrating because it's this weird feeling of missing out. Like I said, whether you're not with your teammates and not feeling connected with your team, but it's also like you're missing out on opportunities to grow your game and to develop your game. And that can be really frustrating to accept that part of the injury. It's really important to try to combat all those feelings and like reset during that time of recovery, because as much as like your recovery is physical, it is mental. I think it's great to have a goal to say you're gonna be 110% healthy, you're gonna be like super fit, you're gonna be in the best shape, like you're gonna be physically all those great things. But I think the other important side of it is like, who do you want to be mentally at the end of the injury? Like, how do you want to carry yourself? How do you want to approach adversity and challenges and injuries, like whatever it may entail? Sometimes it's not always enough to get yourself through the physical part. I think with recovery, there has to be real intention, and it has to be deliberate, and it has to be decisive of not letting your injury, not letting this circumstance overcome you emotionally. And this is something I didn't used to do, so this is like a new perspective for me. You're in a team sport, you're working together, and you're fighting for like this common thing. When you're injured, it is just you. It is you versus you every single day. It's you having to show up for yourself every single day, and especially the days you don't want to. Like, that is the most important time, because there's some days that are going to be so hard. There's some days you're not going to be in the mood to do your rehab, but you still have to show up. Like, you have to pick yourself. Your goal at the end, yes, it's like, I am so motivated to get back on the field, but it's also like, my future self will thank me if I do the work today and I show up today. And I think that's the biggest thing with injury, and especially with athletes, like high level athletes. You've been doing this since you were a kid. So doing the physical part isn't that hard because it's like habit now. Like you're just automatic, like you know what to do for your body. But if you're just doing it just to get through it, so much time is gonna go by and like you didn't really do the growth like up here. Like you didn't align your mind and your body. And I think at the end of injuries, like you want them to be here. Like you don't want to be one to be better than the other. Like you want to do your best to have them meet. And so you're ready to move forward and you are legit the best version of yourself. I've had injuries that I didn't do that. I was just getting through the physical part and I did victimize the situation and become my injuries. When I think about my journey and my professional career, injury is one of those things that is like a huge part of, my story and like what I've been through, and they haven't come at the best times. My rookie year, like I said, I was a national team replacement player, and the time that I just signed the contract to be like on the roster, like 2 or 3 days before what could have been my first game to be rostered, I pulled my hamstring in training. Recovery time took up, I think, pretty much almost the whole time I was like on contracts. That was really discouraging as like a young player coming into the league and like trying to, start everything. Last year, like I talked about, I had really bad chronic plantar fasciitis that literally was an issue the whole season. I came into that preseason super fit and really excited and like motivated, like this was going to be like my breakout year. Finally feel like I was getting into my groove, and again, things just didn't work out in my favor and God had a different plan, and I was in and out of a boot all season. I was in and out of training all season. It was really frustrating. So fast forward, my team and I in August, we had Champions League. It was the second game of the weekend, and then like the first 5 seconds I hurt my knee. And I tried to play through it, obviously. It's like Champions League. I was like, I have to play through this, and I just couldn't. And I eventually had to be subbed off. So that's like what my injury is right now, and it's turning into being a longer recovery than I had hoped for. That has been really hard for me to accept because, like with anything, you have these dreams and you have these expectations of how certain things are going to go, and especially playing in Champions League, that has been a dream of mine for my career and just like a bucket list thing I've always wanted to do. I had obviously these expectations and these ideas of how it would be, and it literally was the complete opposite. And so it was like this dream weekend was like a crash and burn kind of thing due to injury. And like I said, that's the crappy thing about injury. It happens at the worst times and at the worst moments. And because of that, you want to ask why, and why is this happening? Why did it have to be this weekend? Because of the timing, like you can just put yourself down this rabbit hole of no return. Yeah, injury, it can play those mind games on you. It can be very cruel in how they happen when they happen. It's heartbreaking. It honestly is, but it's part of this job. It's part of this game, and it's like the inevitable. Like it will happen. It does happen. I used to have like a really different mindset with injuries. It became this stress reaching my return date and just feeling like I had to be back to prove myself. I had to be back to, make the most of this opportunity. I can't miss any more opportunities and blah, blah, blah. It just turned into this stress as like injuries kept happening. I would question why they were happening instead of saying it is what it is. I'm going to get through it and I'm going to be positive and I'm going to have like a better outlook on it. Now moving forward with this injury, I am approaching it with more patience and grace, especially because I know it is going to be a longer recovery, and I want to be the best version of myself when I am done, because when I look back, I don't want to have regrets and feel like I wasted time. And I think with injury, it's easy to let that time go by, and it's easy to not do the work and just like sit in the negative emotions and just like fester in them and question all those things. But that's not a good way, and it's not a healthy way to do it. It's almost like sometimes a reality check, I have found, because there's always things like you need to work on. And I think sometimes when you are playing and like things are going really good and you don't really pay attention to maybe like if you are having bad habits or like your thought process, because everything's going good. So like you don't question anything. But with injury, everything's taken from you. It is honestly a really good time to reset and to shift your focus back onto yourself with the lessons. One of the main things is like, how are you going to approach this time of healing? I think it's really important to try to keep a positive outlook and have positive self-talk. Feed yourself with the good things, whether, you know, that's like with your teammates, with your friends, with your family. Surrounding yourself with all the good things so you are building yourself up every single day. Obviously, like, there's a lot of emotions that go into being injured, but I think it's really important to not let yourself stay those emotions. You have to accept them because there's no other way to go. It's not like you can go back. It's not like you can jump in time. Like, you have to deal with what's in front of you right now. Injury is like one of those things where it's a mental battle with yourself every single day. And you have to stay disciplined. You can't just go through the motions of doing your rehab and doing your exercises. How you have to be intentional with your mindset, you have to be intentional with your physical rehab. And that's like showing up to do the work every single day. That's going to do extra sessions at the gym or doing the rehab on your own on your off days. It's those little things and those little details that really matter. And at the end, when you put all of that stuff together, like, did all the physical stuff, you did all the emotional and mental work, that in my head, like, is the recipe for some type of greatness or some type of healing. Injury is out of your control, but there are plenty of things that are in your control during that rehab process. With this dream and just like this profession, it can be really painful because you give your everything to this sport and to this job, and sometimes it just can feel like it doesn't love you back or it doesn't want to love you back. And this is the hard truth, but at the end of the day, it doesn't owe you anything. Trying to make it, like, this is what making it is. It's the decision to keep going and to keep fighting for it. Dragging yourself through the hardest times when you don't want to. And right now, an injury is one of those things. It's ugly and it's hard, but that's what's required to keep this journey going, to keep this dream alive, because if you're not going to chase it, it's not going to chase you back. Anyways, I hope this video was helpful. I hope you took something from it. Any thoughts you guys have on this video, comment down below. Give this a big thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next episode.
Mama told me one day I'll be famous. Remember when she used to say she hated